he introduced new products. This particular example, I think, is the MacBook Air, and the way he brought it in was really clever. He brought it inside a manila envelope. This is kind of a secret kind of persuasive technique as well. He didn't tell anybody what was in there, and then he pulled it out, and it was like he's just demonstrating the fact that it's so small it fits in the manila envelope, which nowadays is kind of like, who cares? But at the time, that was like, holy shit, that's a really small computer. Another example Jobs did is when he introduced the iPod, he kept it in his pocket, and then he whipped it out at the presentation and kind of threw it on a table and talked about how he had like 10,000 songs in his pocket. Again, it's like, who cares now? Like, everyone has a million songs on their phone. But at the time, it's like, that's the power of infomercials, the power of demonstration. You see that a lot when we used to sell a lot more like physical goods, like tactical pens or flashlights. The more you could demonstrate your product, go ahead.
I don't know how I found this, but I was watching the Slap Shop commercial last week.
The what?
The Slap Shop infomercial.
Oh, it's the thing that,
yeah. It's real. The guy's a real cheesy guy, but holy crap, it's really good. It's a really good commercial. The guy just like blows through all these demonstrations and all these problems, and like it's really amazing.
Yeah. So how to use demonstration in financial copy? Well, that's tricky, right? Because like, how do you demonstrate a trade? How do you if you're talking about some sort of like biotech breakthrough, how do you demonstrate like a scientific principle? I don't know, but the more creative you can get, the more breakthroughs. Like, for example, one of the things that like Joe innovated was the man in the street idea for selling naked put options. The way he showed that you get money instantaneously in your account by doing this technique was like just giving people a computer and having them do it, which is a lot more compelling than just trying to explain to somebody like, yeah, the money shows up instantaneously. That doesn't sound even like possible. But when you see it, then it is possible. I mean, I just saw it. So like, how is it possible? Look at it. We just did it.
Here's an easy way to do another demonstration that we've never done before, just because while it's easy, it does take some organization. Let's say you want to write a promo for Weekly Wealth Alert. So new trades come out every Monday, right? What I would do is I'd open a fake brokerage, like one of those dummy trading accounts, and every time Alan Nuckman, the guru, sends a trading alert, I would do a screen capture. And I would do a screen capture. I'd start up my computer. I'd show the alert. I'd switch to something that had the date in it to prove that the date is really the date that it's happening. Maybe it's the front page of the NewYorkTimes.com or something like that. So now you got your alert, you got a timestamp on the date, and I'd go place the trade in a dummy account, and I'd record all of that. Then 2-3 weeks later, when Alan sends me the sell alert, I'd show the sell alert, I'd show the date of the New York Times, and I'd close that trade in my dummy account and see if it made me a profit. And I would do that 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and then I'd write a weekly wealth alert promo around it. So instead of saying, look, you could have bought this on this date and sold it on this date, I'd show my actual screenshots of my dummy account of how much money you could have made. So that's a different type of demonstration that we normally don't do in weekly wealth alert promos. It's easy to do, but it takes coordination and thought and organization, because you're going to have to open trades in a dummy account, record the screens, close the trades in a dummy account, record the screens, and mash those together to be a new promo. So that's something that we've never done for any of our option trading services, but we absolutely should do, could do, and it's easy to do with organization. Sean?
Can you paper trade like that?
Yeah, I'm sure you could. Yeah, I don't know what, like Option Express or Ameritrade, I don't know what it is, but there's got to be dummy accounts that you could open, with like $50,000 of play money. The best case scenario is to actually trade it with your own money and then write a promo in your voice endorsing Alan Nuckman, as long as you follow the trading policy that Ryan was just talking about, which we can talk to you guys afterwards if you're interested.
So again, like just kind of another thing that tying back.
Quick space that?
No.
Tying back to kind of a bigger principle we talked about before, like that's being a sales detective, right? That's using all legal means to get the proof you need. Okay, it's not just like I want you guys really to like absorb that belief about yourself that you're an investigative reporter, you're a sales detective. You're not just writing copy. You're like creating the entire thing by doing this kind of gumshoe work and any legal means are available to you. Okay? Back to this list here. Bullets are proof. If you think about it, it's actually proving that some sort of info product, a book or a course, actually has shit in it. One thing I should note on that is like when you're doing a book, It's important to put the page number in there that shows it's like an actual book. You'll see the example on the sheet there. Social proof, I mentioned before, extremely important. Academic studies are kind of a form of social proof. People believe that in academic studies, you hear cited in the media all the time. How you can find those, well, I can give you some advice if you're looking for that on your own. But Google will help you there a lot of ways. Social proof, borrowed social proof of average folks. Some of that you get from, this is an example from the mains income one that we've looked at a couple times. None of these people here are actually subscribers of the service at Stansberry. These are all average people using the secret that he found in newspapers and other third-party sources. So you can borrow social proof. You can also use actual customer testimonials. And again, if you want to know how to find those, like that's where you're talking to your publisher, can help you hook you up with that. I mean,
Let me. I'm going to stay on both of these sections for just a second. So social proof that's borrowed, and social proof that are actual customer testimonials. So let me give you some. I hate this term, but I'm going to give you some ninja quote unquote techniques on how to do this. So let's stick on borrowed for just a second. Amazon.com is an amazing source for customer testimonials that we may not have. So let me give you an example. If you're writing for Zach's Income on Demand, which is a put selling strategy, you go into Amazon and you look for any option selling books. And then you look at the reviews on those option selling books and you can find gold. People who've done option selling in the past, who've made a fortune and are reviewing the book, that you can use as testimonials in an income on demand sales letter. So that's borrowed social proof, right? They're not coming from Zach, but they're endorsing the same strategy that Zach's using. Does that make sense?
So it doesn't have to be his book. It can be
No.
any similar
No,
book.
exactly.
and again, it's all how you frame it, right?
Yeah.
If you're talking about,
Wordsmithing.
well, it's not wordsmithing. If you're talking about like part of your big idea is option selling, right? And someone's endorsing option selling, then in a way they are endorsing your idea. You know, you can always use, you can just ways that you can add in there like a version of this or a similar technique
Yep.
to make it a true statement.
So what I would do, again, like let's just say you got Weekly Wealth Alert. Weekly Wealth Alert is using unusual options activity to make you money. I would just go look at any option books. There's a gazillion option books on Amazon. Look for the one that's got the most reviews and spend 30 minutes looking through all the reviews and picking out the ones that are the best reviews where people said something like, after reading this book, I learned how to trade options and made $452,000 in my first year. You could use that. I made $452,000 in my first year, right? So Amazon.com is an amazing, amazing place for borrowed testimonials. Second thing for borrowed testimonials, another quote unquote trick, tactic, is to look at, and this works with the dividend type of sales letters. So let's say you're writing a promo around master limited partnerships. They're called MLPs. You guys can look it up. It's not a big deal if you don't know it. You can find a company, and you can, within that company, let's say they're an MLP company, right? So they're an oil and gas company that's going to pay a huge dividend. What you can do is search their ticker in Yahoo Finance. There is a company insider category on the left-hand side that you can click on, and you could find which insiders own how many shares of that company. You multiply how many shares they own by the dividend paid for the year. And if they, so this is going to get a little tricky, but let's say I'm an insider of a company and I own 1,000 shares. I have to put that on Yahoo Finance because I have to disclose that. So if it's Agora Financial is the company, I put the ticker symbol in Yahoo Finance. I look and I see that Joe Schriefer owns 1,000 shares, and I see that Agora Financial pays a $1 dividend per year. I can now say that Joe Schriefer is getting a $1,000 check. Does that make sense? So you can find these huge checks that people can get that are the company insiders for the companies that you're
Because
recommending.
we don't know otherwise, like who owns the shares, because they don't publicize that, but they do publicize insiders, executives, board members. They're all insiders, but large individuals, like wealthy individuals that own a certain percentage, they have to report like how many shares they have.
So if you wanted to say that Canadian Social Security, by piggybacking Canadian Social Security, can earn you up to $4,700 a month, you can back your way in to that borrowed social proof by taking a dividend-paying company, finding the insiders, multiplying it out by how much money they're going to get, and dividing it by months in the year to get this enormous.
I literally asked Pete about this on Friday, specifically for that promo. I'm like, how do he get so many testimonials?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's another way you can borrow social proof, is using the company insiders who have to disclose their ownership in the shares, multiplied by the dividends paid, divided out by whatever piece of proof you want to make. If it's 4 checks a year, if it's that they're getting monthly income. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
And we're going to give you I'm going to create a big open loop right here. There's a very easy way to do this where you don't actually have to do it yourself. I'll tell you about that in a moment. Some people may already know. So those are two, again, quote unquote ninja techniques, right? Number one is you scour Amazon.com, and number two is you borrow the social proof from the company insiders. Now, let me move on to the second one, which are the actual customer testimonials. Let's say you're writing a promo and you want to write it about a specific asset class or a specific stock or something like that, and you don't have the actual customer testimonials you need. Aha! The power is that you can write an email to the existing list. You can design an email that goes out to the existing customer list that will get you the testimonials that you want. One of the massive advantages that we have is that we have huge lists. So again, if you're writing a promo about dividends and you currently do